antlers, assumptions, and artillery. "I'm going to be fine, Holly, I swear!" Martha laughs even as Holly holds her close. "I'm only a couple days away and I get plenty of vacation time." "You didn't visit before," Holly says. "That's on the Undaunted, actually," Bjorn interrupts. "They needed to confirm the area was completely safe first. Or at least safe enough. Letting her come here was a slight security risk, so we needed to make sure that no matter what happened, it was still safe enough." "Oh, that makes sense. So does that mean that now that the arcology is built, Mom can visit at any time?" Holly asks. "The whole family can. You can even invite old friends you fell out of touch with due to what happened," Bjorn says. "Just give us some warning and we'll either arrange it or spot if they're compromised." "Compromised?" Holly asks. "I'm sure your imagination can fill in the blanks," Bjorn says, and Holly nods. "But in better news, if anyone you call is in a bad place, you'll be getting our attention on them." "And you'll help them?" "Probably," Bjorn replies before holding up his communicator and bringing up an old text. "We've helped the woman who threatened your mother." "What?" Holly asks, taking the device and reading it. "Former KT victim getting psych help and recruitment. No longer threat. Oh. Old blood may be hard to wipe away, but it cleans just like any other stain," Martha says. "I'm glad that was resolved without anyone getting hurt. That's generally the better way to end things. It's very, very hard to take back what you've done after you've killed someone." Bjorn agrees and Martha nods before pulling away from Holly and hugging him. "I'm glad you think so. It's one thing to be a powerful and protective apex, but merciful and gentle are wonderful too. I'm glad to call you son." "How official is this so far?" "I've heard about men getting some kind of ceremony, formal dances, proposition, or just moving in and suddenly being married. Hell, I've heard of one who was grabbed off the street, promptly sexed up by an entire Sharbus hive, and is now officially married to all 200 of them." "Oh, well, you are wearing a collar that says husband, and my little Holly has one saying first wife. So that seems fairly official, but ceremonies are fairly rare. There are so many women for each man that having a large ceremony for each of them is just wasteful. The level of formality changes from place to place. Formal dances are popular among some girls, but most are just like what you've got going on now. A little token to signify things. Happy life together. It works," Martha says. "Who do you know that got an entire Charby's hive?" "He's posted on a space station that's in a legal gray area, so gray that it's more or less officially a pirate space station. Last I heard, he decided to look like he walked out of the 80s and is rocking a ridiculous mustache and an annoyingly bright and garish shirt over his armor and backup weapons," Bjorn says. "I don't know him personally, but when a man finds himself in a 201 way, the news gets passed around." 201? That's a big herd, Holly muses. "That's a hive," Bjorn replies, and there's a sound as the ship opens. It's doors at last, and the first few passengers start to disembark. Something niggles for a moment, and he's suddenly on alert. "Both of you need to..." A flare of plasma fire launches through the air from an invisible weapon and crashes into the palm of his hand as he catches it. There are screams as passengers suddenly dive away from the source of plasma, and he rushes it even as another blast erupts. He catches it too, and in 2 more steps, his hand closes around the barrel of the weapon that's blended with its cloak-and wielder. The metal bends, the plastics break, and the ceramics shatter as the pistol is reduced to worthless scrap under his crushing grip, even as his other one grabs for her neck. "No!" the cloaken screams as she starts to kick at him, and he winces a little as the large claws on her feet rip at his shirt and start going for his stomach. So he gorilla styles it and slams her into the ground. She fades into full visibility with the stun, and his boot presses down between her shoulder blades, even as he draws a pistol to grind into the back of her head. "You're going to be very still or very dead. Make your choice," he tells her, and she freezes. There's the telltale axiom burst of a teleportation, and suddenly there are another 2 Undaunted with him. 15 seconds. That's okay reaction time. The 2 men quickly tie up the woman, and one of them teleports away with the prisoner, even as the remaining one scans the area for further weapons. "We seem to be clear," the man says, and then pulls out a first aid kit. "Here, she got some good slices in." "She did?" Bjorn asks as he reaches down and finds his fingers covered in blood. Didn't even notice. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug even when it's not spiked with Axiom, the soldier says, taking out a spray. Brace yourself. Bjorn lets out a slight grunt as the disinfectant is sprayed on his cut abs and then a bandage slapped on. He nods before stepping back. Let's get you both back inside. Martha, I think you'll be taking some private transport after that. Yes, I think I shall, Martha says, and Bjorn quickly gets them back to the air car they took here, and he immediately takes off for the undaunted arcology. Why did she attack? Holly asks. Or Skrugs? Don't know. Don't care. We're getting answers out of her soon, and while that happens, you two are going to be behind enough armor to tank a nuke. He says all business. The transport home for Martha had been arranged on the next undaunted shuttle, but she was determined to stick around until she knew what was going on. Bjorn didn't offer any protest as he simply waited and used the quiet times while he was on guard to pump some Axiom into his healing. By the end of the second hour, he peels off the bandages to reveal undamaged skin underneath. The fact she had gotten blood at all was an issue, so he now had armor on and was now waiting. Just waiting. Private Stream is the one with the news, and he walks up to hand a folder to Bjorn, who scans through it. After a short while, he hands it back. Understood. What's going on? Holly asks. You remember that nightclub you were recognized at? Well, it turns out the group that followed us wasn't the only one. Others did and were smart about it. Sort of. They're now telling people who you are, and as such, well, you're being watched, Martha. Oh no. Relax, there's already a plan in place, Bjorn replies. How can I relax? I've placed my daughter in danger because you wanted to be a parent to your child. There is nothing to be ashamed of. You're fine, Bjorn says. What we're going to do is be a bit sneaky about things. Holly, as we speak, they're putting together a few fake IDs for you. How do you feel about pretending to be about 6 different Carib in the same day? What? There are only so many physical and facial combinations for any species that you're guaranteed to have at least one doppelganger per billion. There are about 4 other people on this planet that I'm a haircut and fake scar away from being their exact double. With you, we're going to make it seem like there's a slighter higher average of doppelgangers on Zalwar, and we're going to start messing with the records of your mother's trip so that it looks like she went elsewhere. This way, all identifications of you are dismissed as a coincidence, and any trail leading here looks fake. And what's going to happen to the Cloaken? Holly asks. She's being dealt with. Even if she was actually trying to take out a dangerous murderer, which she was not, she still started that fight surrounded by civilians and hiding among them, effectively using them as meat shields, not something anyone approves of. What's her name? Holly asks. Jude Featherscale. Bjorn says and pointedly says nothing more. Holly takes a deep breath before nodding. What did Knifetop do to her? Holly, it really isn't. What did Knifetop do? Broke every bone in her body in order to get her to talk. She was then left at the front of her organization as a warning. She was presumed to make a full recovery as the healing coma had her walking the next day. But she had been missing for several days beforehand. So the breaking must have taken a while, Holly says as she looks at her hands. It was not you, Holly, Martha assures her. I know, but it comes back easier and easier. I think I can remember her, how she broke in my hands bit by bit. It wasn't you, Himko, Bjorn says. You've both said that now, Holly says. And we'll both say it again and again until it finally sinks in, Bjorn assures her. I tried taking count of just how many people Knifetop hurt. They wouldn't have fit in the Dauntless when it first came out of cruel space. Hectic 15 years, Bjorn says. Swipe was a busy little monster, Holly says, holding herself. Eat, sleep, workout, evil, over and over. Some days with more evil than others, I'd wager, Bjorn says, and Holly nods. Yes, she says, and she holds herself even as Bjorn sits beside her. I didn't marry a monster, he says after a bit, and she presses into him. You are trusted and loved. No matter how many people that the Dark Cabal bitch hurt, it's on her, not you. But I should have been able to do something. Anything. When your body and mind were both under her sway, that's asking far too much. Swipe is gone. Her assets are being used to move in on her fellows, and more of the twisted evil that she indulged in is being slowly wiped away. I know it's just... Reminders tend to come at the worst time. Yes, and you got hurt keeping me safe. It's literally my job. As your friend, it's my pleasure. And as the husband, it's my duty, Bjorn says, and Holly just leans into him. After a few minutes, Private Stream returns and offers a salute that jostles his entire uniform. Martha knows it's an act, but can't help but laugh at the sight. It really is just that disarming. Miss Clatterhooves, ma'am, I'm going to be bringing you to your ride home, Private Stream exclaims happily. Thank you, young man. Is there anything you can tell me about what's going to happen to the young lady that attacked? She actually sends her apologies. Once she was presented the information of what the persona spikes were and what they did to your daughter, she realized she was attacking another victim and is offering her full and complete cooperation, Private Stream explains. How out of date is that folder I was given? Bjorn asks. Things have been moving fast. This Miss Featherscale opened up completely when she got all the information, and we assured her we wouldn't just abstractly punish people. We're sending some other streams out to talk to them. After all, if people have the passion and will to fight against evil, then it's best if they have the training and support they need to actually do it right, Private Stream says, and Bjorn sighs. So in other words, the original Private Stream is going on a recruiting binge. Yeppers! A small hand knocked at her door, and her first instinct was to climb up the small ladder built into it to look through the upper keyhole. No one. She drops down, and sure enough, there's someone her size on the other side. Dark blue uniform, clearly fitted for someone at least a foot taller. Eager expression. Friendly presence and a happy wave to her as he somehow knows she's looking. She doesn't open the door. I know you're in there, Miss East, Private Stream says. She backs up a step. I know you've been giving information out that compromises our protection programs. She starts running to the opposite side of her apartment and opens the curtains to the balcony. He's there too. I just want to talk.